Introduction.
I love music and I love the Beatles and I love performing and I love music is the best thing in the world in my opinion. So every time you can bring music to the conversation, just bring it in.
What is it about like that kind of old school British artist that inspires you?
I think music is ageless basically. I mean it doesn't get old. Music from the 60s or 70s or 80s, great music never gets old. People play Mozart and Bach and Beethoven, and everybody's playing. If it's good, it's good. It doesn't matter where was it written, when was it recorded. And some of those songs are the greatest songs ever written. And so, according to my, I'm doing some of my own songs as well. I have my own records I'm going to do some of them, but I'm going to do some of those songs that I love, that are basically my blood. This is my genes, and it's something that I grew on, something that made my music, something that made me what I am.
Was music a big part of your sort of childhood?
I grew up into music. My father used to sing. He wanted to be a singer. He wanted to be a musician, but he couldn't. He couldn't afford it, and it didn't occur. So he planted all his wishes into me, all his thoughts and all his everything that he wanted in music. He planted into me. So I grew into this, and I hear the world in a musical way. I mean, the whole world is a big symphony to me. I mean, a car whistle, or someone shouts somewhere, or somebody whistles somewhere, or a tool moves somewhere. I don't know. And everything is just like a big symphony, like instruments. And so I hear everything like that. And from when I was a little kid, every song that I heard, everything that combines music and lyrics just widens my eyes. It makes me happy, it makes me hopeful, it makes me believe that the world is better than it really is. Since I was a kid, I have that since I was a kid, and when I learned to play the guitar from when I was 10, and I found all the music, all the Israeli music that I love, the old Israeli music that I loved when I was a child, and the Beatles music. The Beatles was the basic thing. I mean, when I heard Lennon and McCartney songs, I understood what I wanted to be. I understood that you can send your hand inside your soul and bring out all the stuff there, even if it's not that good, it's not that kind, but you can bring it out in a musical way, and you can share your emotions in the world, even your hard emotions, even your troubled emotion. You can share it with the world, and that's a way of communication. That's my way to communicate with the world. I do it all my life.
You mentioned some the Israeli artists as well there. So of your kind of like non-British influences, who do you look to? Who has inspired you?
There are great Israeli musicians, Mati Kaspi, Yoni Rechter, Sasha Argov is a great composer who wrote about 50 or 60 years ago some of the greatest Hebrew songs ever. Some old Israeli, it's called Eretz Yisrael Hayshana, Old Israel, the songs that were of Israel, of the old Israel. And this kind of songs are still my base. I mean, I love many of there are great current Israeli songs and great music in Israel now, but something about the base of it. It's like I love things that I hear all around me, but the Beatles are still, it's like the music's Bible. So I think it's like we have the Israelis musical Bible that is music from the 60s or 70s and maybe a little from the 80s. And this is the music that I grew on, and this is my influence, I think, basically. I started writing and recording in mid 80s, something around the mid 80s. So before everything that was before that is my influence. I believe our brain is like a blender. Everything you get in, like you do a shake, you get all the music that you hear and everything that you see and everything that you talk to and everybody that you know, and it all blends inside you, and then it comes out like your own shake. Nobody can do the shake, the musical shake that you do.
You mentioned Matty Caspi there, and I want to come back to him in a little bit. But first, I was just going to ask you about your upbringing in the sort of Jewish sense. And, you know, would you say you had a sort of a strict Jewish upbringing or not so?
Strict Jewish upbringing. We're not religious. My family was religious, even though my grandfather was a chazan in Bet Knesset, and he was very religious. But my father, his rebellion, he was a little rebel, my father, and he rebelled his father. And we are very, very Jewish, and we feel that our being Jewish is not about keeping the mitzvot, or it's just keeping the tradition. We're very traditional Jewish, and about the Jewish moral, about the Jewish philosophy, there's a great philosophy in Judaism, and great moral, and it's basically the moral of the whole the religions all around the world. So it's basically mine as well.
Would you say that then your Jewishness and your heritage inspires your work?
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. Because something about your antennas, about the way that you look at the world, about the way that you explore everything, the Jewish religion explores very hardly, and it goes to every little detail of things. And this goes into your music, and goes into your work, and goes into everything that you do. I believe it does, and I believe that believing in human spirit, in hope, in human spirit, and being as good person as you can be to about accepting everybody as it is, and being very subtle about everything that you can do to be a better person to the people around you. That's basically my being Jewish, and I believe it reflects in my music.
When did you first realize that you wanted to be a musician professionally?
My mother tells me that when I was about a year and a half years old, there was constructions working outside our home, and they were banging the hammers, and I just crawled. I was a little infant, and I crawled and found something and started banging on something in the rhythm that I heard from there, because it moved something in my mind. I think because I heard it out there, and she said, "This guy's gonna be a drummer or a musician or something like that." I don't consider it a profession even. I mean, I'm doing it. This is the thing that I love the most in the world, the thing that I enjoy the most in the world, and that I can make a living out of it, and people want to hear it. And many people are listening and coming to shows, and this is a great privilege. I don't even think that I consider it a profession. I never thought of it like that. I'm a musician because I have to be a musician. I cannot, even if I didn't make a penny out of it, I have to be a musician. This is what I am.
When you started out, you worked with and wrote for major Israeli artists like Matti Caspi, who you have mentioned, and apologies for my terrible pronunciation, but Shlomo Artzi and Arik Sinai.
Great pronunciation.
Yeah. How did you land such big jobs so early on?
It started when I saw a singer that was very famous in Israel. The name was Yael Levi. She was very famous many years ago, about 45 years ago. And I went to see her show. And in the end of the show, she pointed at her guitarist and she said, "Tomorrow he's leaving me. He's going abroad. He's taking his family. Can anybody here play the guitar?" It was a kind of joke. And I thought to myself, that's my chance. And I went to see her and I told her I play the guitar and I want to play with her. And she got frightened because she thought I was a freak or something. give me a chance. Please just give me a chance. And I knew her songs because I followed his fingers and I watched what he was doing because it interests me. I watch people when they play. I want to know what they're doing. So the day after, I came for an audition for her and she auditioned me. And 2 days after that, we were performing together. I was playing with her. And a guy, Arik Sinai, was a more famous singer there, saw me with her and he borrowed her for his show. And his producer was Matti Caspi, and he heard me and he said that I play well. And then he heard my song, and one thing led to another. And it started with this. The only time that I was assertive when I went there and said I want to do this. The other time, it just one thing led to another, just one link to another. And when you work in the business and people see you, and this one know that you're working with this one, and this know that you're working with this one, he says he's a great guitarist, or he writes good songs, or he's a good company, and so people hear it and they want to. And it's a small world, it's a small country.
So, of all your collaborations, do you have a favorite, or perhaps a sort of favorite project?
I think my own albums are the thing that I cherish the most. I mean, the thing that I work on, and this is me. This is giving everything that I have there for you. But I think Matti Caspi, I idolized him when I was a teenager. I learned these songs. He's very, very complex musician, and he writes very complex songs. And I learned everything that, and I was thrilled with every bit of charm of his music. And when I came to work, he produced my first album before I started playing with him. And when I came to meet him, I was like a little child going to see his first teacher in the world. And my heart went boom, 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 and I didn't know what to do. And I played the first song for him. He's a very tough guy. So I played my song to him, and I was so enthusiastic. And then there was a moment of silence, nothing. And then he said, "It's a very good song." And I thought, I never in my whole life, and I got a gold album, platinum albums, and singer of the year, and all this kind of awards. Never in my life was I more excited when Matti Caspi told me that my song is a good song. I could die on that moment, and I did my thing on earth. I didn't need anything else after that. And Shlomo Artzi, I don't know. Do you know those musicians?
No, I don't actually.
Shlomo Artzi is like Israel's Bruce Springsteen. Very, 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 very popular, and he plays in stadiums and things like that. And playing with him was a great lesson for me. And I believe that the lessons that I learned most from all the musicians that I work with is what I cannot do, what I cannot be. Because I'm seeing this Shlomo Artzi, and he's playing in big stadium, and he holds the crowd in his hands. And I'm saying, this is amazing, but this is not me. I'm more intimate. I'm into being more in the in your high, in the eyes. I don't know how, if you say that in English. There's an expression like that in Hebrew. Begova einayim, you say in Hebrew, which is in the same height as your eyes. I can watch your eyes when I'm singing and not look from you from above. So this is what I feel. So when I'm doing my concert, and I have big concerts, but not like that, and not that way, because I cannot do this. This is not me. And I learned that from seeing him from his back, how he does that, and admiring what he does, and saying, okay, this is his thing and your thing is different. So try to do your thing the best that you can do, and not be somebody that you're not. I think that's the lesson that you should learn. And something that I learned from Shlomo Artzi, he taught me a great sentence that I think that was said first by Winston Churchill. The meaning of success is going from one failure to another without losing your enthusiasm. That's a great sentence, because you fail a lot. I mean, you do albums that do not succeed, and performance when people not come as much as you want them to come, and people don't expect your song as much as you want them to accept them. But if you go on, if it burns in you, if your enthusiasm keeps being as high as it is all the time, then you cannot fail. You can always succeed. It's a success, even though it's a sort of kind of failures along the way. It's something that you learn from.
So I was going to ask you about your new album that's coming out, your 14th, which is incredibly impressive. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you reveal the name or the release date yet?
It's called Places, Mekomot in Hebrew, because the first song and the theme song is about it talks about the place that I cannot return to, place that are not there anymore, and the place where I grew up, and all the kinds of places that I were, and people that were in my life and are not there anymore. And it's my 14th album. People do less albums nowadays. They do more singles and more single songs. But I'm an album person, because I think because it's like meeting someone and wanting to see many sides of him, not only this one that he shows you, the makeup side, and but the other sides, the side that are not so strong and the side that are not so made up.
Obviously, you've been a musician for a really long time now, so you've seen the industry change a lot. How sort of what are the good things and the bad things that have changed from, you know, like the physical kind of vinyl era to and CDs as well, to the digital age?
I think the good and the bad things are the same, because the best thing is that everybody can put his music out there on display, because on the streams or YouTube, on everywhere, everybody who has a song, writes a song or records a song on his iPhone can put it out, can put it on display. That's a great thing, because that's democracy. I mean, everybody can hear everything. The not so good thing about that is that there's so much out there that it's like a big ocean. Then it's harder to find the beautiful fish in this enormous ocean of products.
Having written so many songs over the years, do you ever struggle to find something meaningful or exciting to write about, something that really, you know, gets you excited?
I believe that I'm not really writing I'm in songs. I'm writing a sort of a diary, my own. I'm writing hundreds of songs that people never heard and never will hear, because it's my own personal experience. I'm experiencing things through music, through songs. So something that happens to me, if I want to express it, I do it. I write a song. This is what I do. Like people write in a diary. So it's not that I'm looking for something that happened to me. Everything that happens to me in life comes out in songs. Some of them come to the public because I feel that they are more something that I want to share. It's not when you write something it's not that they're more personal or less personal. Something that I feel are worth showing. I believe that if you're a person who really is interested in things around you, and you have your antennas up and you look what happens around you, and you care about people, you'll never have a shortage of things to write about, or themes, or anything that you want to write about. Life is so complex, and so many people are out there, and so many stories, so many great stories. And people come, because I'm famous here in Israel, people come and tell me their stories, and some of them are such an inspiration to write things, and it's a never-ending thing.
Would you say that Places is mostly or from you, or are there any of those stories that you mentioned before, that people have sort of told you about, or that you've heard?
Most of them is me, but there are some. There are a song that my wife wrote the lyrics to. She heard me playing a piece of music, and she said, I want to write lyrics to that. And she's a great lyricist. She wrote one of my greatest hits here in Israel a few years ago, the lyric to it. I basically write my own lyrics, but when she comes, she's much better than me. So she wrote this one as a lyrics, and this is something that I fell off my chair when I read that, because she read me better than I can write myself. And there's a story there that somebody came to me and told me. It's concerning the Beatles, because I'm doing a lot of lectures about the Beatles and a lot of performances that are Beatles only in Israel, in schools and things like that. I love that very much, thing that I like a lot. And somebody told me, and I had a conversation with someone, and he told me that the most important time in the Beatles' life was when they were in Hamburg, and they played for about 9 or 10 hours a night. And that was when they combined together, things combined together, things cemented together then. So there's a song in the album that's called Everyone Has His Own Hamburg, which is about everybody who has this place when he becomes himself, when he has his workshop, when he works very hard on something, and when it comes out, and he labors on it very hard, and it comes out, this is his Hamburg. This will, I don't know if it will make him the Beatles, but he knows that he has this thing. He made it. He made this step.
What date was the album released?
It's going to be around July, somewhere around July. And because I have so many albums, this is the 14th, and because so many songs have been out there, and I'm performing so many years, it's another kind of excitement. I just want people to know that it's there, because I know that there are many people, 100,000 people who are subscribed to my all kinds of sites and all kinds of music all around the net, that will, if they know that they'll come and hear it. And if they hear it, and I know that they know it's me. I mean, it's like being a friend for many years, because it's something very personal. When you do it for many years, people are sort of your friends. People come and they become a sort of friend, even though they don't really personally know you. I feel that to many artists that I love. They are my friend, even though I never met them.
Yeah.
I wish I had some of them. I met Paul McCartney.
Did you? Wow.
Yes, I did. He was in Israel. He played in Israel about 12 years ago. And I went because I'm doing all this Beatles stuff around Israel. They brought me to meet him. And I shook Paul McCartney's hand. It's this one. This one. This one.
Amazing. That is amazing.
I said I want to thank him for his music, because his music really made me what I am. And I'm not sure I made an impression on him, but but for me, he's meeting my idol.
In 2019, I saw that you performed two acoustic sets on the plane from Tel Aviv to London. Yeah. Is that the strangest place you've ever had a gig?
One of the strangest, yes, it was. There's not a whole space on a plane. You just stand like that, and you cannot move anything. But it was fun. It was coming to London, basically. So he got me a few days in London there with everything and hotels and everything, and I enjoyed it a lot. And it was a surprise to the people on the plane. They didn't know. It was a sort of a surprise, and everybody was very happy to hear it, and everybody was singing along. It was strange, but it was fun. I don't believe in just doing things the old-fashioned way of standing up there with the smoke and the lights on you and singing in a very deep voice. I believe in doing things that are fun, things that are different, and experiencing things. It's more fun.
You said that it was one of the strangest places you've played. Is there another unique location that you've played a gig before?
I played in caves. There was a cave, a very deep cave in Israel that they started. A large company decided that what they wanted to do is to make the annual meeting there inside this cave, and we tried to put in the PA system, and it just couldn't get it in. And when I walked in there, I sang something. I said bah, bah, and it just went bah, 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 bah. And I thought, you don't need anything. You just have. I stood with the acoustic guitar. It was about 200 people. I stood with the acoustic guitar, and all the echo of the cave gave something that it's like you're singing like a bat out of hell. It was amazing. And I think the strangest place I played in when I served in the army when I was 20 years old. I didn't want to go to an army group. I was invited to go to an army. I was playing guitar and singing, but I didn't want to. It was after the Yom Kippur War, and everybody was very patriotic and think that they have to contribute everything that they could do for Israel. So I went to be I was a bombardier in my service. I can't believe that I'm saying that, but I was playing, and I spent almost my whole time in the army in a stomach of a tank with a guitar with this in my hand, and with the guitar just playing there with everything booming outside me, and I was playing inside there because I could not play. So this is the strangest place, and bottom of a tank.
I've heard it's very cramped inside a tank. Can you fit more than one person? Were you playing to like?
It's 2 or 3 persons, very, very one into another. You can't move everything. It's smaller than the plane that I'm playing on, but still, I had to do it. It's like something you have to do. I had to have my guitar with me. It kept me sane. Because it's the whole thing, the whole militarist thing is so insane, basically, and it kept me sane. I think it kept me a musician.
I actually do only have one more question for you, and it's sort of for the up and comers. As someone who has had such a long and successful career, what would be your advice to new artists trying to sort of get a foot in the door in the Israeli music scene?
I believe that all you have to do is be yourself. Try to be as close as yourself as you can be. Because if you want to do something like somebody else does, or something that you hear on the radio, or the sound that now is very popular, they don't need you. It's there. They don't need you. The only thing that you need it for is yourself, because like you, there's nobody else in the world. Everybody is unique. Is a whole world of itself. So the deepest you can get inside yourself and be more close to your heart, close to your feelings, close to your truth, then it gives you more chances to go out there and people will be interested in you. I think it's not only music, I think it's life. If you're a true person and you're really true to yourself, you have more chance that people will like you and want to be in your company than you're trying to be something that you're not, because all the energy is just a waste of energy. Be yourself no matter what they said Sting. Be yourself no matter what they say.